Now we're going to go off to the other side of the world. We're off to America. It's the Houston Open. On the back of our little mate, Kevin Na, winning for Craig Edwards. Craig, how are you, sir?
Yeah, feeling good, Flash. Nice to get a nice price winner.
Rough rock on here, Craig. I'll go on, mate.
It's been a few months since we've had a nice price winner. I think Jim Furyk was last one at 90. And Kevin Na was at 81 in places. And well, we liked him a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, Flash? And I was pleased I stuck with him, even though he'd missed the cut. But you've always got to consider him in Vegas. He lives there. He's won it before, placed before, and I think he's one of them players that he's getting older and he's just become more comfortable with himself. And even down the stretch, he had a triple bogey, he bogeyed the par 5, and he still managed to actually make a 15-footer to stay in it at one point. And, he just outstayed Cantlay, really. And Cantlay's a really good, reliable animal, but, he's probably not as comfortable winning tournaments as Kevin Na.
Totally. I mean, the biggest word was comfortable. I'm so pleased that you stuck with him, because we said a few weeks ago that he now thinks that he belongs. He's got that relationship with the big guns who go there and win tournaments. I saw that Patrick Cantlay, I think halfway through or at the end of day 2, he was like 2.75, and I'm thinking, I can't have him on this golf course. I cannot have him because somebody somewhere is going to come along. The other thing I noticed was Phil Mickelson. Looking trim, looking fit, can't see and put the 4 rounds together.
No, it's bizarre. It's either going to snap shortly and he'll have an Indian summer in his career, or he's going to start, his confidence is going to start to wane a little bit. Like you say, Flash, he's looking after himself, and so I'm a massive Mickelson fan, I've got to say, and it might just be the smallest tweak and he'll be going again. So
well, the biggest thing I noticed, Craig, was we know Mickelson from old. We know his whole career. He'll get up and down from anywhere. Round 2, anywhere around the green, failed to get up and down maybe 50-60% of the time, and I just felt he's now trying to hit the ball too hard. I mean, he's hardly hitting fairways. He opens up, I think, with like a 6 or 6 under par round, and you think, well, go on then, go and push. His push is too early.
Yeah, I don't understand all this need to keep up. It's almost like this fitness thing has totally lost his focus on actually doing what he's good at. And I mean, like you said, Flash, round the green, there's no one with a greater touch and everything. So all the working out in the world, actually, if you think about it, is not necessarily good for your touch with putting and chipping. So you do have to strike a balance.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And this has happened to a couple of the other players over the years that have gone on this fitness one. I think Darren Clark was one of those that he used to be really good chipping and putting around the greens. And it's almost as if their whole actions change because there's no belly to get in the way, so they might come down a bit more shallow or a bit more on the inside. But whenever Mickelson was around the greens, I fancied up and down, no problem. But this week, he just really, really struggled. Let's crack on to this Houston Open. If the wind blows, there's a definite favourites. There's favourites to be had.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Henrik Stenson's favourite. He has got an impressive bank of form here. He's never won, and it's getting on for 3 years since he's won an event. So he is in good form. I mean, when I looked at his stats, he's still number 34 in the world. He was third a few weeks ago in the Scandinavian, then he showed up well in the PGA. He's a solid favourite in what is a weak event. I didn't know it was going to pan out to be quite this weak a few weeks ago, when I first looked at it. So, and then you've got behind him, I mean, I've got to be honest, I don't like Brian Herman. I think he's third in the betting. He's got no form here whatsoever. I don't understand that sort of price for Brian Herman. I think you've just got to look don't overcomplicate this week and look at Russell Henley. 5 top tens on the trot here. Once the winner. Played well in Vegas last week. That was the noticeable thing. He's been, apart from a second at the John Deere in July, he's been pretty lackluster for him. And to see him play well last week, and Houston Open, they've changed the slot. So it used to come before the Masters, and now it's gone to the fall. And we don't quite know what's going to happen. But actually, to see Henley coming in here in good form. It gives you pretty much, I feel like it's a bet to nothing. Get as many places as you can and just load it up, really.
Ball striker, Craig. Everyone's favourite ball striker, Russell Henley. Always there or thereabouts. Farms, absolutely farms, weaker events where the top 20 in the world are not present. Austin Cook is another one, 101 to 1, so just the hundreds. Always... Yeah. For me, when he gets there, just doesn't, that putter just fouls him.
It does. I'm going on one of my kind of things where I believe in endorphins and it's kind of your biorhythms. If you relax a little bit, become more in tune, and at golf and snooker, it's a massive thing. I mean, you went there about Phil Mickelson and soft hands, put in and chip in. That means you're slightly more relaxed. Well, when he had no tour card, he played the Monday qualifier here 4 years ago, and he qualified, and he actually took the 54-hole lead into the final round, and he shot a 75 to finish 11th, which was understandable, inexperienced. He's looking at $1 million when he's got no money in the bank. It's too much. He then went on to win the RSM Classic on the PGA Tour. Like you say, Flash, he does flatter to deceive, definitely. But this is the first time he's been back to Houston for this event, which I find amazing. You'd think he'd have come back here before. Maybe he couldn't get in because on the slot it was before the Masters, so everyone's trying to get all the big guns used to play. So I've taken that kind of tentative form line and thinking he's got all them good memories and... he should be a more complete player in his mind now this time.
Yeah, there's 2 things I noticed about this. Obviously, in the schedule, it used to be early part of the year, and the Europeans used to like either win it or they'd all be up there because they were all getting themselves ready for that. It used to be Sawgrass, Houston, and then obviously we go to Augusta. Now all of a sudden, it's at the back end of the year where the Europeans are not so much. You're probably going to have, Russell Laird, maybe, I think Tom Lewis is in there. But I think you have to look at just the Americans this week. Let's go on. Zach Blair, 150 to 1.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago at Safeway Open, he started with 75, and he actually ended up finishing 4th. The last 3 rounds, he was the best player. And the last 3 or 4 months, there's been a real change in him. He's suddenly found a level of consistency. I think he's had 7 top 11 finishes on both tours, on the Corn Ferry and now here. And what's noticeable was that last year, well, it would be in the April, so it's going back best part of 18 months now. He managed a top 10 finish here when he wasn't the player he was now. And got to forgive him a bad week last week. But we did that with Kevin now. And, the price really forgives him in any case because this time of year you're looking for maiden winners. You're looking for new winners on the PGA Tour. All the old boys, they've had a long year. They're getting ready for Christmas and what have you. They're probably just picking a few checks up. I've got a feeling this lad's turned a real corner in this game. Very similar to the lad you just mentioned, Tom Lewis, last year. Tom Lewis suddenly turned a massive corner and became such a consistent player for the last 3 or 4 months of the year. And I've got a feeling that this lad's a similar profile.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's the big thing about the European boys when they come over at this time of year is they need that one good week. It gets them, I mean, was it not Poulter? Poulter was struggling, wasn't going to get his card, got an invite, won, 2-year exemption. You're like, wow, all of a sudden your schedule is planned out for you. Sam Ryder's your next one at 51.
Yeah, his best tournament on the PGA Tour was last time here, and last week he was superb. I mean, if you take away his last round, that's the one worry. He was in contention and he shot over par at Summerlin, which is not a good round because scoring was very low last week. Yes, the final round, the scoring average was a bit higher, but I think he went around at 75. But he's coming here, you know he's playing well, and this is a weak event. He just looks an obvious form pick and current form pick, really.
Well, your next one is someone that I've had in my bag so many times. Kevin Chappell wants to speak to his caddy for about 25 minutes between shots. Can go as low as anybody on tour, and all of a sudden he just blows up. I don't know if he blows up mentally, physically, but at 80 to 1 in this field, he has got to give you a run for your money.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, he's been out most of the season. He had a back injury and he's had surgery, so he's had 10 months off. But prior to that, Flash, like you say, he competed in US Opens, Players' Championships, high-class player. The interesting fact is the one PGA tournament he's won is in Texas, at the Valero Texas Open, where he has an impressive bank of form. He's had one good performance here in the past. He came back at Greenbrier, I believe, and his third round, he shot 59, his first tournament back for 10 months. So we've got to believe he retains the ability. Last week was a 40th percent. I think he finished 40th. Well, Summerlin probably wouldn't have suited him because it's a very low-scoring course, putting competition. If you go back to what I mentioned there, he's competed in US Opens, in Players' Championships, and he plays better when the course is a little bit tougher. So he's got everything really. And the other thing is, he's got to re-establish himself on the PGA Tour now. He's had so much time off that he's going to be keen. He's going to be fresh. He's not mentally wiped out from a long season. He's almost like a rookie again. So, and to, you know, in a way, he's down in grade playing this tournament to the tournaments he was competing in before. So you could, you know, and like you say, Flash, you can blow up, but at 80 to 1, I thought we could take that chance.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the bigger chance, and people, if they're obviously just getting involved in golf betting, he's the type of player that could be 6 shots back on Sunday and shoot the lights out. He loves to get a roll, and I mean, he is one of those that will go 62, 74, 68, 64. He's a birdie machine when he gets running. Streaky, just loves to chat to his caddy for too long for me. I'm like, he'll get himself in the top 2 or 3 and have that lovely rhythm. And all of a sudden they start overcomplicating it and going through it. And I'm like, will you just play the shots that you've played for the last 58 holes? It's like EA frustrates me. Okay, I haven't got the graphic up for this next one because it's my one that I like to give you. I thought you might have gone for him, to be honest. 3 top 15 finishes here. Keegan Bradley, 40 to 1. So there's my little one for you on the outrights. And we're going to move on to the place markets. Cameron Tringali, top 10 at 6.5. He's another one that when he gets the ball rolling, he's hard to dislodge.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, I like Keegan Bradley. He's very close to being picked, usually not far off. Cameron Tringali, if you go back a few years here, every year he was in the top 10 and he was always in contention. Well, since June, again, he's another player where his stats have improved out of all recognition, and it's almost like his putting's letting him down so much. His stats are suggesting he should be even higher. I don't really want him to win. I can't see him winning at 50 to 1 for a guy that's never won on the PGA Tour. I don't think we can take it, but he's a solid look for a top 10 finish this week, definitely.
Okay, moving on. Jim Herman, top 20 at 10.
Yeah, Jim Herman, well, this guy's wacky. His 2 tournaments, he's both put him down to playing with Donald Trump. And he was the assistant professional at one of Trump's courses. They played together just before he won. It's only a couple of months ago at the Barbazole Championship. They played together, and Trump gave him a putting tip, which is wacky enough that but he's listened to his president. He's been a good lad, and he's then gone and won the Barbasol Championship. Wind it back a few years here, he was champion here out of nowhere, 500 to 1. Again, he played a practice round with Donald Trump a few days prior. Now, if only we knew he'd played again, we might be able to get stuck in. But he's an inconsistent sort. I wouldn't put anyone off having a little bit at 250 to 1 each way. But mainly we'll go for the top 20 finish, because he's also got he's got a little bit of consistent form here, which is unusual for Jim Herman, because he is a really inconsistent sort of player. But he likes the course, and at the price, it's an easy bet.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say about him, it's all about belief. He might also be an in-play bet, that if he looks comfortable and he gets himself rolling, then he's one of those that probably won't go away, because he probably doesn't actually know what's going on around him. He is one of those types of players, late on the scene, just happy to be there. Next one, Chris Stroud at top 20 at 7.
Yeah, Texas resident. So it's basically his home tournament. He played well last week. He just fell down the leaderboard on the last day. It's only like 3 starts ago. He had a top 10 and top 20. He's a horse for course man. You know, you won't get him on a course where the Bombers are dictating or a big event. But this week, he looks primed for just a solid top 20 finish in his home state. And he can sleep in his own bed and travel to the venue, and it looks an obvious bet for me.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. A lot of the players have been brought up around this area on these courses. I mentioned it right at the top of the show. If the wind blows, get on your local golfers, because there is a massive, massive advantage to be had. This is a big one. Top 5, Zach Sucher at 51.
Yeah. He's been playing all the minor tours and the Corn Ferry Tour for years, and he's at the Travellers Championship. He got a start on the main tour, and he finished second to Chad Greavy. He was leading. He probably feels like he should have won, but anyhow, he won a lot of money, and he's kind of changed the direction of his career now. What's been noticeable these first 2 weeks of the new season is how well he's played, and his stats suggest he should have finished higher. He's the sort of player that will either finish high up or miss the cut. So I've gone for the top 5 finish at 51, which, you know, for small stakes, he could well give us a good run in that market this week. And on the minor tours, when you look through some of his results, he has some of his best performances in Texas. So again, we've gone for that. Like you said, Flash, it can be windy and stuff, and you're looking for players that have got that bit of experience, really.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, this is one of those courses. Again, it is a little bit different. We've got to take into account that it's 4 or 5 months after its normal schedule, because it's all spun round. But I always looked at this and thought, I want players that maybe a little bit lower ball flight, a little bit like they can shape it both ways, hang it up, hold it up. So for me, any of those boys that have got experience around the sort of geographical area, then they definitely have a chance. The last one for you, Shaun Stefani, top 40 at 4.
Yeah, a journeyman professional. There's not really many highlights to his career for us to focus on, but what we can focus on is he's quite good at earning his checks, and he has got a 5th or 6th place finish here. He's got a few other top 30s, top 40s here, and he's in reasonable form, coming off similar top 30s, top 40s. That's what Shaun Stefani is about, and I noticed the 3 to 1 with Paddy Power this week. I thought it must be he must be just slightly over even money for me to get a top 40 finish. So you know, it's just a simple bet, really.
Yeah, I've wrote down walking ATM. Maybe a poor man's Charles Howell III. That not really
That's it.
Doesn't really win. but always cashes in that top 20 region. Always there or thereabouts, maybe 3 or 4, 5 shots short, but never in doubt of picking up your money. Okay, I gave you Keegan Bradley outright at 40 to 1. You've gone through your place markets. I'm going with Keegan Bradley again. Top 20 at 3.4.
Yeah, I'd rather have him in the place markets for me, Keegan Bradley. He can be a bit frustrating when he hits the front. Yeah, he's quite a similar frustrating character to the one I picked, Chappell.
No, exactly. No, totally.
I watch him play, and he's overcomplicating. When he came on the scene and won the US PGA, but he's gone away from playing natural game. But the one thing he has flashed, he plays well in Houston in this tournament. And like you say, he'll have the experience if the winds blow. And the place market has a real solid look for Keegan Bradley in what is a weak tournament.
Yeah, and if the wind blows, the putting style, wider stance, double grip, may just give him a couple of shots over the 4 rounds. I liken him a little bit to Webb Simpson, although Webb's kicked on. And the thing is with Keegan, he's a bit of a nut. He can fly along, but then all of a sudden, a bit like Rory, Rory has that Tigger walk. Well, Keegan has the opposite. He goes all sideways and his rhythm goes and then he cuts the ball 80 yards right and he double crosses himself left. But listen, get back to your caviar, your champagne on the back of our little friend Kevin Na. I'm glad you didn't desert him after us having a good chat about him 2 weeks ago. And let's hope one of these big guns come in for us.
Yeah, absolutely, Flash. Been great talking as always.
Hey, I look forward to it. Keep up the great work. And it's snooker season soon. Get over to oddsmarket.com. Craig will talk everything snooker, everything golf. And if you follow him, you're going to be in the caviar and champagne, just like Craig. See you soon, mate.